Hi, welcome to Turn-Based Besties, a podcast where two grown adults with no free time talk about their favorite RPGs. I'm DJ.
And I'm Sam, and we're besties that love to game.
We love to game together. Well, you know, two
We
hour
could,
time difference apart together, not actually together.
apart
We,
but together.
we could, though. Sam was just making fun of me before we started recording.
I was not. What was I making fun of you for?
My beautiful face.
Oh, no, I was complimenting you on your beautiful face with no lines or
No
wrinkles.
lines. She got them
No
etched
lines,
out.
no lie. No lie,
No,
no lines.
no lies, no lines. She's
That
looking
has to
pretty.
be some sort of cosmetic tagline somewhere.
I'll tell my husband.
There you go. Max can make his own line, and
No
there's
lies,
the
no
tagline.
lines.
There you go. We got it. It's a moneymaker. But so yeah, today for me at least ended up being a snow day or an ice day, I guess. There was not a whole lot of snow, but it iced over everything here in the Midwest, and nobody could drive and everything closed down.
What?
So yeah. Yeah, don't you remember ice storms back from when you lived in the Midwest? Do you remember those when everything shuts down?
I mean, I kind of remember them, but I like living in a place where we usually don't have ice storms, so I'm putting it out
Yeah,
of my memory the best I
Yeah,
can.
they're few and far between, but they hit you hard. So today was an ice day with the kiddos. Luckily, I was off, so I was taking care of the kids. But that makes me think of, kind of a few kiddo stories here. And for one from today, though, I was gonna say a different story for Jay, but I'll tell you something fresh from today. So Jay, the 2-year-old, I was kind of getting him cleaned up and everything, and I hear In, our 5-year-old, call out from the room across the way, and she says, "Daddy, I need some alone time right now to draw." So that's what she so nicely says when she wants to be left alone. She just says, "I need some alone time," which is great. So she closes kind of the door. She goes to draw. Jay goes, Where did In go?" And I said, "Oh, she went out, to draw. She wants to be alone right now." And he says, "Oh, great. I want some alone time too with Sissy." And it
Oh.
was it was so cute. He does not understand the term alone time, and he loves his Sissy so much, and he just wants to be with her. And it was great. So she wanted alone time. He wanted alone time with Sissy. So that was cute. But anyway, and then the other in story, I guess, that I was going to bring up today that I thought was so cute from before is um, the background. I guess you need to know about me is I am a bald king. Is that a term?
I no, yeah, yeah, you're a short bald king.
Short bald king. We'll call
Yeah,
it that.
yeah.
Not that short. I'm an average bald king,
Okay.
but but anyway, so I'm a short ball king, and so when I pick up in the 5-year-old, my daughter from daycare, uh, almost it's like one out of every three times. All these little 5-year-olds run up and they say, "Why don't you have any hair?" And there was one time that a kid comes up and he says, "My daddy has hair," and looks up at me. And Nora rushes over and she looks at him and she says, "Well, some daddies don't have hair." And then we walked out. We just sashayed away, and it was well, I guess anyway, but it was great. So she defended my honor in front of that 5-year-old that was trying to hurt my feelings.
She's defending
Um,
daddy with his whatever. You're
it
hot.
was so
You're
cute.
like
Oh, I
you're
don't. Oh,
hot
I
short
care.
bald king. It's
I
okay.
have I have been doing this so long. I care very, very little, if at all. But it was so cute and it was so great. So anyway, so those are my cute kiddo stories for the day. How is life with time and no children?
Oh, it's so nice to not
A
have
little bit more
children.
time. A little bit.
A little, well, yeah, a little bit. We had some free time this weekend where both of us, my husband and I both got to sit on the couch on a Sunday and play video games,
Hmm.
which was really nice. And then we decided we should maybe do something to like be a little active. So then we went to the U Village, which is like this outside mall, a couple minutes from our house, and we got an ice cream cake because we said, let's get an ice cream cake. Yup. And then we came back
That's
home. and put the ice cream cake in the freezer and played more video games and drank a bottle of champagne and then said, I guess let's make dinner and have an ice cream cake after.
Oh my God. That
So,
sounds great.
yeah,
I'm
no,
just gonna live so vicariously through you.
yeah, no, it
Just
was a good Sunday. It was a really good
that
Sunday.
sounds great. And I hope Max is not listening, but the best kind of cake is ice cream cake. So the less cake and the more ice cream you can have is where I'm at.
I mean, I know, and it was like a little too cakey, truly, to be like,
Really? Oh, so it was one
yeah,
of those ice cream cakes that has a little bit of cake in there.
we didn't really know that. And honestly, I think we kind of deserved it because when we were buying it, I thought, oh God, we're buying an ice cream cake, clearly taking this from a child, probably who wants it. So
They were standing there about to ice it with some
I,
8-year-old's birthday message,
they were, and I iced them
and you
out, and I said,
snatched it.
absolutely not. As my ice cream cake, homie.
Well,
So
that's great. That sounds like a beautiful, beautiful Sunday. And that's great. Well, good. So we should move into the crux of the show today. So as you might know from last episode, we are going to talk about the games that we are excited about in 2024.
And there are so many games that we are excited about for 2024, and so many games that we will not be able to talk about for this year. And I bet games that we don't even know like are going to
Yes.
be released this year that we'll get excited for and we'll talk about this summer probably as like a follow-up.
There were, I mean, I watched videos and listened to or and read lists, and it would be literally 30 or 40 RPGs coming out in 2024, and I loved most of them. And so the list will be our top ones, but it will not be exhaustive, and that's okay.
Yeah, we'll cover the ones that we'll cover the ones that we're excited to play. Some of you will understand why I'm like prefacing that. We're covering the ones Sam and DJ are excited to play. So please don't get angry if you don't hear your favorite RPGs.
But please just tell us, what are you excited to play?
Yeah,
And let us
yeah.
know.
We'll be really excited to hear other people's games for 2024, and we'll definitely mention the big ones. I promise.
We'll
But
at
we'll get
least
there.
mention them. Yes, absolutely. Well, good. Well, I'll kick us off, and I'll talk about a game, and we'll kind of go back and forth here. But my first one that I will chat about is Iodine Chronicles 100 Heroes. So that one, I hope I pronounced it correctly, is releasing in April 23rd, 2024. The developer is Rabbit and Bear Studios, so they're known for the Suikoden series, and the publisher is 505 Games. They did Control, Death by Daylight, Death Stranding. So that was a little surprising because none of those games seem, JRPG like that I'm familiar with.
Yeah.
But they were well received games as far as I recall, and so that's a good thing. Platforms that'll come out on the Switch, PS4, 5, Xbox Series, and PC. So this is going to be a turn-based type game. So it is visual-wise, it's the 2D sprites, but also on the 3D backgrounds and environments. So similar to Octopath, similar to kind of the Star Ocean Second Story remake that we talked about. But I would say the sprites are more detailed with a higher pixel count on this one than Octopath, or even I'd say more detailed than Star Ocean as well. Um, so also the backgrounds, the environments, the 3D ones are a little bit more detailed too. So not as much highly pixelated sprite work, but a little bit more detailed, which was really nice. So the story, what I wrote down here was, in the land of Alron, a war-torn region blessed with the magical objects known as rune lenses, the Galdean Empire has edged out other nations through its discovery of a technology that amplifies the rune lens's magic. The Empire is scouring the continent for an artifact that will expand their power even further. Sane Kessling, a young and gifted Imperial officer, and Noah, a boy from a remote village, meet each other and become friends while searching for this artifact. But a twist of fate will soon drag them into the fires of war and force them to both re examine everything they believe to be right and true. So that's just a little excerpt that I added there for the story. There are a lot of characters in this. So I know that excerpt mentioned two of them, but there's a bunch. So the name might suggest, 100 heroes. So battle system wise, it is a turn-based RPG. a few cool things about it is that you have some support moves you can do between characters, so they'll both attack together, and those seem to be dependent on the support links between those characters. Also, you can use terrain during battles, which I thought was unique. If the baddie is building up an attack, you might be able to hide behind cover on the battlefield to save yourself from damage. So that was pretty neat. So it says there are over 100 playable and recruitable characters, which will, I'm sure, lead to so many different abilities and jobs and ways to craft your team, which is amazing. So that will be, I expect, a big aspect of this is who do you recruit? Who do you pick? How do they complement each other? And that is one reason I'm so excited about this. And it's not just the visuals that are akin to something like Octopath that I've gushed about on here too much. But it's how you put them together and make your team that is so enticing to me. There's a few other things on this. So there's a war mode, which is more of a tactical RPG or maybe a real-time strategy where you're controlling units on a battlefield and placing them in different attack positions and defense positions, and that was rather unique as well. And then let's see here, final kind of things is, oh yeah, so you have like a home base or a town. And so as you recruit these over 100 characters, each of them can then relocate to your home base, and they provide different aspects to the home base, to the town. They might run a shop, or they might allow for a new mini game, or um, grow something new in the fields. It looks like there's just something new to the home base, which was pretty cool. So you're not only recruiting them to be somebody that you utilize in your party for attack purposes, but they can also add a new gameplay element, or maybe they give you something else you can do outside of combat. So all those things together make me rather excited for this. I've never played any of the games in the Suikoden series or anything like this before, or I've played a lot of things like this, but anything in the related series. So I am excited for that one for sure.
You did such a good job of telling the story. I feel like I should edit in like music for when you tell that and like maybe make your voice sound really boomy. It was like a really good narration you did.
Was it good? Should I go for that as like another side gig, as being a storyline video game announcer?
No, I don't think so.
The truth comes out. It was bad. It was
No.
not a good thing.
No, it was so good. It was so nice. Also, for those who may not know, Sam and I don't clear games with each other before we talk about them. We put them into a document, but we don't say, oh, you do this game because it'll bounce off this other game I'm going to do really nicely. And I love that we are really similar gamers because there's another game I'm going to talk about in a little bit that is incredibly similar to the game you just talked about.
Yes, that is absolutely true. However, there was one or two that were both on our so high up on our list that we were like, one of us has to talk about them and the other one has to talk about them. So we
That's
did
true.
have to split two of them, I think.
That's
But other
true.
than that, we had our own kind of lists that were similar but different.
I know. We're in sync.
We're in sync.
Speaking of NSYNC, I'm actually joking. There's nothing with NSYNC, but I'm gonna go to my game that well, both of us are really excited for this game that I'm gonna
Yes,
talk
this is
about
one of
now.
those.
It is Persona 3 Reload. It is released February 2nd, 2024. That is in I think 10 days, 11 days.
Oh my gosh.
Well, by the time this comes out, it will likely be released or a day before it's released. But it comes out really soon for the PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, Xbox Series. Plus, I think you all over who get Xbox, you get it on your Game Pass. I don't really know what that means, but I think you get it for free then, I guess.
That is my understanding. Yep, it's no, actually they pay you. Yeah, that's how it works. Is you don't have to. No, I'm just kidding. You
Wow.
pay the monthly subscription, so you are getting it for not free, but uh, it feels better.
Wow, that is wild. So lucky Game Pass folks. The developer is P Studio, the publisher Sega and Atlas, definitely known for their Persona and their SMT games. So, side note, the first time that I heard about Persona 3, it was described to me as Buffy the Vampire Slayer meets hardcore RPG. And for those who may not know, I am slightly a scholar when it comes to Buffy the Vampire Slayer. So
Literally
that's
a scholar.
quite, I mean, literally a scholar. So that's a huge win in my book to jump into this game. So for the visuals, this is a ground up remake of the original game, Persona 3, which was released on the PS2 in 2006, which is 18 years ago. Wow. I only played like the first 5 to 6 hours of Persona 3, but I played it right after I finished beating Persona 5 Royal back in 2020. So going backwards didn't really work for me. The old game is clearly amazing, but I was viewing it through the lens of like 2020 eyes, and I just couldn't really get past that. But I know it's not a retro review about Persona 3. The character models for this new Persona 3 are essentially the same as P5. I've heard folks also compare them to the models in SMT5 as well. They're taller than the original character models from P2, oh, from the PS2 era. The ones in the original game had this almost, is it chibi style appearance,
I'm
where
not
they look
familiar. No,
where they
I don't
look
know.
where they look really a little cute. I don't think they were exactly the chibi style, but it was a turnoff
Mm.
for me. That's why I can't play games like Bravely Default, because they look like
Mm.
Precious Moments characters. Our American listeners will understand that reference. They just, it's kind of a turnoff, man. The engine for P3 Reload uses the Unreal Engine 4, and I'm saying that because some folks are just saying that Persona 3 Reload is just Persona 5 Royal, but in the shade of blue. And while that, they definitely have some similarities, they use different engines. Persona 5 Royal had an in house created engine, and that is not what Persona 3 is using. Also, most of the P Studio team that worked on P5 is now working, or did work rather, on P3. So I can't really tell a huge difference so far, but there is technically a different engine. So there you go. The world is fully 3D, unlike the PSP version of Persona 3, which is more of a visual novel ish type of game. It has these really rich, deep colors, but as far as it seems, there seems to be these like darker colors than Persona 5, which was red and bright. I don't know a lot about color theory, but the overwhelming amount of blue shades tells us that I think we're in for some really sad and depressing times in Persona 3 compared to kind of the upbeat Persona 4 and Persona 5 that I'm used to. Oh, the music. Baby, 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 baby. People will understand that reference if you played the game. The music friggin' slaps, man. Shoji Meguro's original P3 music has been rearranged by composer Kitajo, plus Lotus Juice is returning as the rap artist. He did the vocals on the original game, so it's really cool. 18 years later, they got him to come back and re-record his tracks. The music is way more hip hop based, with a little bit of rock elements, and of course J-pop, specifically called Shibuya Kai. I'm not sure anything can ever replace my love for the acid jazz that's in Persona 5. We were talking about this before we started recording. There's even an option to buy Persona 5 music and put it in place with Persona 3 music, but I'm not going to do it. I'm really eager to listen to Persona 3's music for 70 hours, so I'm going to do it. For the gameplay, no random encounters, bro, so don't get angry. Just don't alert an enemy if you don't want to fight it. Easy. I think P3 looks to be a little bit more dungeon crawly than the other Persona games. I think, maybe I'm wrong. This is definitely still more of a traditional turn based. You can now control all of your party members. You could not in the original. That was also a turnoff for me, that you could not control all your party members. There's
I'm with
a
you.
new mechanic called shifting, which is basically like the baton pass mechanic in Persona 5. So this essentially lets you, if you get an extra turn, you can pass your extra turn to the next player, give them a shot to knock down a bad guy. They get a chance to shift, give their extra turn to the next person. If everybody gets an extra turn, you knock down all of the bad guys, you get an all-out attack, and it's a really cool animation. It's really satisfying. For those who have never played Persona or SMT game, a huge part of the gameplay is collecting demons or persona, combining demons to make new, more powerful personas and having them power you up and fight for you. You get 4 people in your active party, but I think there are 10 characters altogether in Persona 3. There's also our favorite, Sam, social sim aspect, which is actually neither of our favorite things, but I don't think it's going to be as involved as Persona 5. Like I said when we talked about Persona 4 Golden, I like to get to know the characters. I'm just not interested in dating them. So, I'm intrigued to see how they reworked it as the games rely on this social sim aspect to boost the stats and to get new persona. I've read that you can only do social links with female members, but now they've added scenes with the male members, so you can also get better stats with them. I don't know why they didn't just call them social links also, but whatever. Plus, one of your party members is a cute little dog who holds a knife in his mouth, so yeah. I'm calling it here. I think P3 Reload is potentially game of the year. I know some folks are upset that they're not getting their like 15-hour intense dungeon crawling epilogue or the option to be the female MC from the PSP version. I'm not upset by it though. This might inspire me to try to play the Fem MC on the PSP later. Maybe. That I don't know. I don't really like visual novels. That was so much of me
That was
talking
a
about
lot.
Persona.
That was good. That was good because I mean, you gave some of the old, some of the new, some of the blue,
Some of the old and new. Well,
some of the sad, some of the blue.
some of the blue. It's so much blue. I
Yeah,
think all these games I'm talking about are like re-releases or remakes. Man, I need to. I'm living in the past.
it's on brand. It's on brand.
Whatever.
It's a no, but it was really well done, and we're both extremely excited. Maybe less about the social aspects, but the fact that it, yeah, leads to social stats that then add to battle mechanics and also new persona, like that I can deal. That sounds fine.
I think it'll
Um,
be fine. I don't think it'll be overwhelming. I don't know. I don't really care about dating people in a video game.
I I am with you on that one. Well, I thought you did so well. Alrighty, I will move on to my second anticipated game of 2024, and for me, that is Unicorn Overlord. That one will release on March 8th, 2024, to the PS4, 5, Xbox Series XS, and Switch. It is developed by Vanillaware, so they are made famous by 13 Sentinels, Odin Sphere, and then published by Sega and Atlas. So a little bit of a theme here. So this one will have tactical RPG or real-time strategy aspects, and also turn-based combat. Visual-wise, you have this watercolor or hand-painted background type aesthetic, which is beautiful. If you can look it up, I would. And then the character models are a little bit more anime and cartoonish, and they're just great, fantastic lighting effects when you see these character models and their movements, and they have these vibrant, fun attack animations. So the art style and the art direction just really grab you. If you're able to look at this, that might grab you as well. Music wise, there's a small sample that you can listen to for the music, and it seems to be, I believe they're calling it 16-bit arranged orchestral music, which was fun. It was a little different than some of the games I've been playing more recently, and so that sounds like something I would absolutely get into. Story wise, it says here, let me set on the continent of Fevrith as it is consumed by war. The story follows exiled Prince Elaine as he gathers allies to take back his kingdom from the rogue General Valmore. So that's rather broad, but you are gathering new recruits to help you in your battle against the rogue general Valmore. So gameplay wise, there is this overworld aspect, which when you move around, you go to different cities, you go to different towns and those kind of things on the continent of Fevrith. And then you will recruit different people from those areas. And as you liberate cities, you will actually gain access to the shops and the people in that town. and you recruit new people. So a lot of new people as well. Maybe not quite as many as 100 heroes, but a lot. Um, and you can one thing they're boasting for this is that you can explore in any way you choose. You can go to any of the aspects of the continent in any order, which is interesting, and you can recruit people how you would like. um, Again, the battle system is a few kind of things together here. So it's a tactical RPG or a little bit of that real time strategy of movement. But then when two units interact, it zooms into a different battle environment and is turn based attack between those two characters. When you're recruiting characters, you have 60 unique characters that you can get with dozens of different classes. So again, a lot of the games I'm looking into have a lot of characters, which in one sense is exciting, but in another sense is overwhelming. But I'll try to lean into the exciting part of it, and the type of classes, the types are really exciting. You have gladiators that have self healing capabilities. Here, I'll name a few. You have a feather bow class, which is going to be an archer type, but it has debuff abilities. And then this might be the most unique one that I've read about, is there's an elven fencer who wields magic based melee attacks, but then they can also provide support and defensive barriers. So just the uniqueness of each of those classes and the number of different characters and the fact that you can recruit them however you'd like is so exciting for me to think about what sort of party compositions can you make, how can you attack different situations. So that is why I am so excited about this, but also the visuals and kind of the whole package there. um, so let's see, anything I didn't mention here. It looks like as well with the battle systems, you can assign a character to be the leader of a unit or a battalion or whatever they might call it, and then that will apply a specific buff to that entire group. And then instead of normal leveling up, there's a promotion system. So you can promote units to have different abilities and I'm sure stat boosts and those kind of things. And then there's also, this sounds intriguing, there's a Coliseum for online play. So you can create your own group in your own party and then battle others through this online Coliseum. So that sounds awesome. If the gameplay and the battle system grabs me to try to play some other people and utilize my tactic against theirs, I would I would be highly into that. So
That sounds fun.
yeah,
I- you are actually telling me a lot about games that I've not heard about. There's another game that we're going to mention, an honorable mention, that like I'm hyped for now, man, after like going down the rabbit hole. So this is a tactical RPG, but it's real time.
so yeah, so like you enter the battlefield, and then you are apparently, it seems from the, you can only see kind of snippets of the way the game works, but you will be maneuvering your units on the battlefield towards, the other army, and then once two interact, then it zooms into a battlefield element, and then those two are turn-based attacking each other.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Cool. I mean, the artwork looks just like 13 Sentinels, which you and I both have talked about, and we both need to play at some point.
absolutely.
I've only heard glowing things, not just about 13 Sentinels, but about anything Vanillaware puts out.
Me too. But I own 13 Sentinels.
So
It's
do
just
I.
added to the backlog. It's one of those ones that, actually it's supposed to be one of the ones that's, I'm going to out myself a little bit here. It's supposed to be one of the ones that really is excellent for learning Japanese and trying to help with Japanese, because it has things written out, but also it's time oriented, and there's time travel, I guess, and things like that. So you can read back what happened, and you can try to piece things together. And so it's supposed to be really good at helping you learn once you're at a certain level. So when I get to that certain level, fingers crossed if that ever happens, that's why I'm kind of saving that one.
That, when you play it, when you finally buckle down to play it, I'll play it with you. I mean,
Perfect.
we'll play it at the same time because the visual novel, I mean, It's gorgeous. I've tried to sit down and play it a number of times, and I know that it's good. I just I just can't get through. I need a buddy system with it. And this is not a 13 Sentinels review. Avi, I think we'll definitely dedicate an episode to that. But
Sure.
yeah, I need to play it. We both need to play it at some point.
Yeah, I think we will.
Wow. The next game that I am excited for was just released 5 days ago. So I am
Well,
talking. Well, that's true. That's true. It was just re-released on the Switch Online. I'm talking about Golden Sun and Golden Sun: The Lost Age. Though specifically, I'm talking about Golden Sun right now, the first one. Release date, the original release date, 2001. The re-release was January 17th, 2024. Originally for the Game Boy Advance. Now for Switch, the online subscription, developer is Camelot Software. Some people know that for the Mario Tennis and the Mario Golf games. I know it for the Shining Force games that I've not played these games, but they're RPGs that you and I need to sit down and, you know, devote 15 hours to at some point. They're these old Sega RPG games that we need to play at some point. Publisher, Nintendo, obviously, because it's re-released on the Switch and originally released on the GBA. The visuals are gorgeous for a Game Boy Advance game. Like these 2D sprite-based, pre-rendered backgrounds, really bright, lush colors. Like, this game was clearly pushing the limits of the Game Boy Advance back in the day. I love that your character's weapons change on the battle screen whenever you have a different weapon. So it's those little attentions to details that I think are really cool. Like someone has a sword, but if you equip them with an axe, they now have an axe. And I know that seems like such a tiny thing to be excited about, but it's really nice to see the weapons change, especially for a Game Boy Advance game that was just really ahead of its time. The music, when I was playing the game this weekend, my husband said, "This music sounds familiar. Have you played this game before?" And I was like, "I haven't, but it sounds familiar because the composer of Golden Sun is Motoi Sakuraba, the same composer for Star Ocean. 3 episodes in a row, I've mentioned Star Ocean. Can we go another episode without
let's
me
keep it going.
mentioning it? I don't know. You can totally hear the similarities. They have this driving electric guitar line, which gives it this super rock element. Again, just like the visuals, the sound and the audio in this game push the Game Boy Advance to its friggin' limits. This one has random encounters, so if you don't like that, no going in. They aren't they aren't too frequent, so you won't get bogged down by random encounter after random encounter. You have 4 folks to a party. It's another turn-based adventure. This time you put all of your commands in first, and then the battle takes place. There's a class system. I'm putting that in quotes. That's linked to how many and what type of genie, that's plural for Jinn, which means genie or monsters, that you have equipped. And I've never played a game that has this unique system before. So just simply equipping the genie boosts your stats, but then you can unleash them in battle. This unequips them and lowers your stats for one time. You then have the option to simply take a turn to re-equip them again, get those stats back, man. Or, depending on how many have been unleashed and are on standby, you can summon big monsters to wreak havoc on your enemies. If you do this, however, you cannot re-equip them again in battle for a few rounds. If this sounds confusing, it's because I did a poor job of explaining it. Because it's pretty straightforward when you play it, I swear it is. The animations for some of these summons, they're wild, and I never get tired of watching my summon take 15 seconds to explode out of the ocean and destroy a boss. It's really fun. I'm about 13 hours in already. Fully plan on finishing this game and then playing its direct sequel probably later this summer. So definitely do yourselves a favor, y'all. Get on that family plan like Sam and I are
We have
for
family now.
Switch. Be a family, bro. And find someone and play Golden Sun on the Switch. It lives up to its hype. After hearing about this game for 20 years, can confirm lives up to its hype.
This will be the next one I'm playing, definitely next up on the list. And I think you did a fine job explaining the gen system for somebody that hasn't played it. It does sound a little bit akin to a game that you've mentioned earlier in this podcast that you won't play, the Bravely Default series, with the Brave and Default aspects of just the risk versus reward. So you attack more up front, or you put more out there with the risk of being more vulnerable for the next several turns. It sounds kind of similar to that.
Oh, I think it probably is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what happens in the Bravely Default series is that. Anyway, so that sounds awesome. And again, like I said, that'll be the next one that I play. So I'm glad to hear more about it.
Woo-hoo. What you talking about
All right.
next?
So my next one for 2024 is Deca Police. So this one does have a 2024 release date listed, but not a specific date. It says potentially late 2024. It was announced on February 8th of 2023. It's coming to Switch and PlayStation 4 and 5, from what I saw. The producer is Level 5, so they are from Ni no Kuni fame, as DJ might be aware of, and the Professor Layton series. So the story for this one is the main character, a rookie detective named Harvard, hunts down criminals in a huge open world, crime-ridden city, traveling back and forth between physical and virtual realities. It has the visuals that are kind of cyberpunk aesthetic with some neon highlights, and then the character models are definitely more anime and cartoonish with exaggerated features. One thing I don't love about the character models would be kind of the facial features. They strike me as almost like Nintendo Me vibes that you might make for your own character, and I just don't love it. I'm sure I would get over it and I wouldn't pay too much attention to it, but that's what the facial features um, smack of to me. However, the environments and, like I said, those kind of neon flashes and the whole cyberpunk aesthetic, super cool. Music wise, I can only hear what I heard on the trailer sounds, but it's got kind of fast paced, funky jazz almost. I did see one Reddit article, so this is the beginning of always a questionable comment, but one Reddit article that mentioned it may share the same composer from the Yokai Watch series, which might be Kenichiro Saigo. And so if that's just what they mentioned, and people were extremely excited about that on the one Reddit article I saw. So either way, the music sounded pretty cool. Battle system wise, there's a few different aspects to kind of gameplay or battle system. You do have mystery puzzle elements, which were exciting to me. So different than just the turn-based part, but you are solving a crime in a lot of ways. So you can travel back and forth between that physical and virtual reality. And then also you can utilize the party members, and each of them may have different skills that you can utilize for interrogation or uh, scoping out a crime scene or whatever else to try to figure out what happened. And then there is turn-based battling. So it looks like once you either figure it out or figure out what's going on and you find the bad guy or whoever committed the crime, you can then revert to a turn-based battle system to apprehend them. So there's a couple different things you could do there. So that honestly, that mystery puzzle solving aspect, in addition to then having a turn-based battle system, was intriguing to me. So I'm pretty excited for Deca Police.
I can confirm. I Googled this while you were talking about it. They definitely have the Nintendo Me faces.
Right? The faces are just like, why? Yeah.
I don't know. It seems cool, the mystery solving part, though.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. Well, this
So
next, speaking of mystery, what a nice little segue into the next game I'm going to talk about because it's a mystery when it'll be released sometime in 2024. Quarter 1 2024 is what we're being told. The game is Bloomtown, a different story, to be released sometime in 2024, but nothing is set yet. Systems are PS5, Xbox, Switch, and Steam. The developer, they were co-developed by it was co-developed by Lazy Bear Games and Different Sense Games, and the publisher was Twin Sales Interactive. I've not I've not heard of these companies before, so that's pretty exciting. The visuals, I think, hot take right here. I think they're some of the more gorgeous looking 2D games I've seen, at least coming out this year. Incredible attention to detail on the character sprites and the monsters and the surroundings. Looks just really pretty. The music, from what I've heard from the trailers, sounds like some cool 1960s calm bossa nova for the background music. But then when you close your eyes, you can like see the house with the white picket fence. It's supposed to like set the mood for being in 1960s Americana. And then when it shows the battle, it has this really dark, fast, upbeat rock music. I think it'll be a perfect parallel for the wacky juxtaposition from like 1960s, everything is perfect here in middle America, with just kidding, children are literally disappearing and there are demons literally everywhere. I'm super hyped for this one. Gameplay, right up both of our alleys. It's a mixed turn-based combat, monster slash demon taming. It says social RPG, so there might be some social simulation aspect to it, but I don't think there's going to be a huge portion of it. Set in the 1960s, very Americana setting. Someone on TikTok described it as a mashup of Persona meets Stranger Things, which sounds like a wild mashup that I'm super here for. We still don't know a whole lot about this one, but I'm hooked, and this will be a day one purchase for me. I'll see if I can post a video clip or two on our Instagram page so we can get more people excited about this, because I think it could be the indie sleeper hit of 2024 for sure.
Ooh, big claim.
Big
Big claim.
claim. I make big claims
Um,
here.
is that initial artwork there when I was looking it up? Uh, is that a corgi?
I think it might be a corgi. Let me
Okay,
see.
I'm sold. I'm gonna look at a little corgi running
But you're
there. It
sold.
looks like a corgi.
You're sold because it's a corgi.
No, I'm sold because of what you told me, but I'm taken over the top
That's
because the
fair.
puppy dog is a corgi.
Oh my gosh,
And
it is. And if you look, the puppy dog turns into a muscly, like
oh, that's
muscly
what
dog.
that character's the puppy dog?
Yeah, he got muscles.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Isn't
I
that
love it.
cute?
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute. I don't know why. Yeah, the aesthetic is. I mean, it's sprite everything you said, but it with the color palette, I guess, and it strikes a lot of Sea of Stars with
It
a little
does.
bit of Eastward there. I know it's not turn based. Eastward's not turn based and stuff, but a little bit of like an Eastward look too, which I know those are similar. But I love it. It looks good. Very good. I think, yeah, get more people into all the games we're talking about. And that's a perfect segue into mine because mine is my next one that I'm gonna very quickly hint on is actually never mind, extremely well known and a sequel to a very well known and highly rated game. The next one I'm going to talk about is Hades 2. So, this would be an action RPG, I believe. It is a roguelike game as well. But if it's anything like the first one, I think what takes it over the top into really being an RPG is how well they the story, how good the storytelling is. And that's what I think made so many people interested in the first one is that you were told this story one run at a time, and it was extremely well done. And each character would have thoughtful things to say that added to the progression, and that's why it was still a roguelike, but an RPG with a story there and a character that you were really following through every step. And so I'm excited for this one though. Release date would be a little murky as well. So it mentions Q2 of 2024 for early access. So that's why I'll just touch on this one because it does seem like they might do that early access phase for a while. And then the full console release might be in 2025. So this could be a little bit of an iffy one. But the publisher and developer, or the publisher or developer, is Supergiant Games. They did Hades 1, Bastion, Transistor. I love those two. I am a little bit of a Supergiant Games stan here. If you can check out Bastion and Transistor, I would do so. Visuals, it looks the same. So it's that kind of cell shaded, a lot of contrasting dark and bright tones. And then it is, again, still the top down dungeon crawler roguelike in aspect or in the type of game that it is. Let's see here. Other things to know about it is you are no longer following Zagreus. You are following the new protagonist, Melanoi, the daughter of Hades and Zagreus' sister. And it looks like the new baddie is not Hades anymore, but Kronos, the Titan of Time. So it could be, from the looks of it so far, it could be extremely similar. Maybe almost exactly the same type of game, but you have new boons and new weapons. I would expect there's some sort of play on time and time control, maybe, seeing as Kronos is the bad guy. But I'm here for that. It was so much fun the first time playing through it that if it is just a little bit more of the same, but all new boons and weapons and a new story, I would be ecstatic. So anyway, little quick hitter on Hades 2.
Cool. I mean, it sounds fun. I don't know if I play a lot of roguelike RPGs, so I'll give it a go.
Did you not you didn't play the first one?
I didn't know, but
It's probably not up your alley, but it's a fun one.
I know the developer because they made Bastion, and I didn't finish it because of course I didn't, but I did play that. God, what, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, whenever it first came out. I
Maybe longer, long time, maybe longer than that
And
when
you're right, it's
Bastion
been
came out.
around for a while. It was on Steam when I first had Steam, so I tried it out. It was really colorful and kind of fun, but I was in grad school at the time. I didn't have time to play games back then. I don't know. Well, speaking of not having time to play games, let's talk about more games right now. My last one that I'm going to talk about is a remaster, because of course it is. This I am like outing myself here. It is the Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remaster, originally released in both 1995 and 1998 respectively on the PlayStation 1. They were supposed to be released last year, but it looks like the company was taking in heart the feedback they were getting, and they want to put out the best possible remaster they can. So I'm okay waiting a little bit longer for a new game. So they say that it's supposed to be out sometime in the spring, but we don't have any date firmed up yet, as far as I know, unless that has changed. You're looking at me funny, Sam.
Oh no, I was reading something. You're good.
Oh, okay, cool, 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 cool. It will be released on the PS4. I assume that means us PS5 players can also play it. Xbox One, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. It is developed and published by Konami. Others might know Konami for its Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games. I definitely do. The Castlevania series, and my favorite survival horror series, Silent Hill. The visuals look great. I I think some of the PS1 games, some of them did not age well. I think all PS2 games aged poorly. But some of the PS1 games, if played on the appropriate, I think they're called a CRT TV, still look gorgeous in their original form. So we have these beautiful character models that all have these unique shapes and sizes in towns and battles, which means they're not all the perfect height. They're not all the same height. They're not all skinny little stick models, kind of like Persona. And I think it's just really lovely, especially for an old game. The character models do look dumb on the world map. They look tiny and out of place. It looks like an 8-bit Nintendo. I just think it looks stupid. The towns look pretty decently detailed, and the monster sprites and the boss sprites look really colorful and exciting. The spell animations look awesome, especially for such an old game. For the music, tons of composers helped finish up the game, but a majority of the work, I believe, was done by Miki Hagashino. And let's give it up for another female Japanese video game composer. Awesome orchestral music. This is a given since it was released on the PlayStation originally, and that hardware could handle like real orchestral music. From what I've read and listened to, it seems like there are a ton of different cultural inspirations for the music. Some sounds a little Russian. Some have compared the Russian sounds to Peter and the Wolf by Prokofiev. Some sounds a little Middle Eastern influenced. Others sound like it's an English folk song. I didn't actually want to look too much up because I don't know. I've never played these games, and for games that have been released in the 90s, nothing's been spoiled for me. So I've been like extra careful when I'm looking up stuff about the game. I do know that it is turn-based with random encounters. What seems cool about this is you get 6 people in your active battle party. That was that was wild for the 90s, and I think it's kind of wild now. I know in Final Fantasy IV and in the Lunar games you get 5 people in your party, and a really like unplayed Lunar game, Magic School, you get 6 people. Well, that was not released outside of Japan, so there you go. So I think this is going to be the first game that I've played that has turn-based 6 people in your party. It says, just like the game you talked about in the beginning, Sam, this has 107 recruitable characters in the first game, though not everyone will be playable. I don't know exactly what that means. Still excited. The HD upgrade looks really beautiful. It seems to have kept the crisp pixel art from the 90s, but it elevated it without totally kind of smoothing it out like that atrocious Final Fantasy VI iPhone release from like a decade ago. Not a cute look for them. I'm definitely excited about this one. But with Persona 3 coming out and my current obsession with the Golden Sun games, and let's face it, I'm going to play the new Final Fantasy game at some point. This one, it seems to have fallen down the ladder a bit for me in terms of games I'm excited for. I'm hopeful that once it comes out, we can play it together and do a review, and I can shine and glow all about it. Before we move to Sam's very last game,
Yes.
perhaps we should do some honorable mentions. Sam, would you like to list them?
I think we should. Yeah, there's so many games like we mentioned. There's just so many that are up our alley, that are RPGs, that are commonly turn-based that we have not mentioned because we just mentioned a few of the top ones. So let's see here. So other honorable mentions, there's a new Saga game coming in 2024. Paper Mario, the Thousand Year Door remake. There's Metal Slug Tactics. There's the
Hmm.
Dragon Quest remakes. There's Legends of Legacy, Beloved Rapture, Yakuza Infinite Wealth, the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm also excited if Silk Song comes out. That might not be an RPG, but that one might come out. It's been kind of in laying in wait for a long time, and there are just so many. Did I miss any? I'm sure I missed it. I know I
I mean,
missed
I
a
know
lot.
we've definitely both have missed some. I'm excited for this Beloved Rapture that you told me about yesterday. It looks amazing. I didn't even realize it was a game until like looking at the document, and I said, "Sam, what is this?" It looks kind of like a combo of RFL and Cosmic Star Heroine, both games that I would love to review one day or to hear your take on them, Sam. And also, before anybody asks us, sorry that Final Fantasy VII and Yakuza are honorable mentions. Do not come for us, folks. Like, there are plenty of podcasts that are going to review only AAA games, and that's maybe where you should go to listen for those. We're talking about some of the hidden gems in this particular episode. So, we love Final Fantasy and Yakuza. We're going to play them and probably review them at some point, but
And we
just had
probably
to get that
will.
out there.
And if either of us is going to review AAA games, it's more commonly me, and I do not even have a PlayStation at the moment. So I believe Rebirth is just a PlayStation game. Is that right?
Well, let me see. You might be right.
I
You
could be
might.
wrong.
It'll, I think you might be right though. Yeah, it's just PS5 right now.
Yeah, so we'll give that as our excuse. Is that I am more commonly involved with the AAA games, and I don't have a PlayStation. So
So it
anyway,
does.
maybe that'll change in the future. So okay, so we hit on a bunch of them. Please let us know the ones you are excited about that we have missed, because I'm
Yeah,
sure we have missed them. So I'll jump into the last one if that's okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The last one, I'm extremely excited about this one. I believe you are too. So the last one is Metaphor Refantasio. DJ told me it is not Refantatio. So that is not right. He knows.
It's a pasta.
He knows how to pronounce things. He is an opera singer that knows these kind of things, and that is wrong. So, release date is going to be 2024. I saw fall area kind of mentioned, no specific release date that I saw. Developer Atlas and Studio Zero, and the publisher also Atlas. So again, SMT and Persona fame. Director is Katsura Hashino, who directed SMT 3 Nocturne and Personas 3, 4, and 5. So big hitters there. Platforms that this will be on PC, Windows, Steam, Xbox Series X and S, and PS4 and 5. The visuals are going to be similar to the highly stylized Persona visuals, beautifully dark colors with bright accents, those kind of things. But some differences would be that the backgrounds and environments are apparently being made by Koda Kasuma of Near Automata fame, which I loved that game so much. But in that game, the backgrounds and environments were more kind of desolate, post-apocalyptic wastelands. And from what I could see, is there's a lot more cityscapes and things that are more lived in this, but has a similar aesthetic to the Near Automata game. Let's see here. And then Ikuro Yamashita from Evangelion designed some of the vehicles. So specifically, I think they call them gauntlet runners, or at least one of them is called a gauntlet runner. And the one that I've seen is just fantastic. So it's this vehicle that has these large mechanical arms, but they're still flesh-like in an unsettling way, and they run you along the over the terrain, and it's fantastic. So aesthetics, visuals, you have the Persona and SMT type visuals, but then a few changes, which I am all for. Music wise, I thought from what I could hear, it was very bombastic and upbeat, more orchestral style music. Maybe it's because I'm still finishing the end of a Fire Emblem game, but it sounded a lot like Fire Emblem battle music, which is fantastic. And it looks like the musical director or is Shoji Meguro, who also did music for SMT3, Persona 3, 4, 5. So a lot of the same people, but people you can definitely trust, people that have a track record which is stellar. Story-wise, you play as a member of the Elda tribe, a group said to be imbued with dangerous and heretical magic. They, along with your fairy, or you, along with your fairy sidekick Gallica, attempt to gain control of the region after multiple deaths in the ruling family leave a vacuum of leadership. So that's kind of cool. So there's this opening in the leadership of the whole realm, and you are trying to gain control or kind of lean into that. The battle system, it's going to be turn-based or command style, similar to the Persona games at sometimes. But then the extremely cool aspect to this is they want to, it seems, limit grinding or allow you a different route to partake with grinding. And so you are capable of doing the command or turn style battles, or you can shift to uh, action RPG combat. And you get to decide if the baddie that you are fighting is weak enough that you would rather just attack them action RPG style, or if they are strong enough that you need to focus and do a turn-based command style combat. So it kind of is like those times that you want to grind and just take on enemies. You can do that in an action RPG style, and if you and maybe level up and get ready, and then when you take on a harder um, bad guy, you can do so in a turn-based or command style, which is so unique and very cool. And many people, including myself, most of the time, are not keen on grinding over and over and over and over and over again on the turn-based battles unless you can speed it up or some way that you can reduce the burden. But if this one, you can honestly switch to action combat, which is so unique. I don't know that I've ever seen that before. The bodyguard system in Star Ocean that we talked about allows grinding to be quicker, but it's not quite action combat at all. It's just a quicker grinding to take out enemies that you are much stronger than. Um, let's see. So the final aspects that I will discuss for Metaphor Refantasio would be that it looks like you still have a bond system with people in the personas, just like in the Persona series. You do have social stats as well, and then there's also like a calendar system from what I was reading for this game. Now, as as long as it's not like a calendar system and you can only do a couple things each day, I think I could be okay with it. If it's more of a calendar system, you have to just get ready and then a big event is going to happen. I could be all right with that, but we shall see. So a lot to be excited about with Metaphor Refantasio.
Are we Atlas boys? I think we are.
I think we're calling ourselves out with this episode to some degree.
Yeah, there were three games that we talked about that were Atlas developers. I didn't even realize that.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah, it's quality. It's good.
So,
No complaints.
speaking of people with two different eye colors.
What kind
Oh,
of segue was that?
okay, well, we were trying to find a segue and we really couldn't find a good one. So we're
Well,
gonna.
okay. So the character, the protagonist for Metaphor Fantasio, seems to have two different colored irises, two different colored eyes.
See?
And yeah, and it was it was rather interesting because the game I'm still finishing, going to be done with soon, Fire Emblem Engage, the main character of that also has two different colored eyes. So
Ooh.
that made me look into it, and I was thinking, what's going on here? How does that happen? And so, like I said, I looked into it a little bit more, and so the condition in general is called heterochromia or heterochromia iridum. So two different colored irises, two different colored eyes. The main thing we're talking about from the games is going to be when it's complete, or one eye is one color, or one eye is the other. Sometimes you can have other partial or central, where the outside of the eye is going to be a darker shade and the inside is lighter. I think we've seen people or know people with like that. There's a lot of characters with this trait. So Alir is the character from Fire Emblem Engage, the main character. He has one red eye, one blue eye. And then looking back, so the Hades games that I was talking about,
Yeah.
both protagonists, Zagreus from the first one, and then Melanoi from the second one, both have two different colored eyes. It's crazy. Heterochromia iridum. And then who else did you say you've played a game with before, DJ, that had this trait?
Yuna from Final Fantasy
That's
X.
right. Yeah. And so you have Yuna from Final Fantasy X, and then again the protagonist from the last game we discussed, Metaphor Refantasio, also has this trait. So it's crazy. There's some famous people out there. Apparently, Kiefer Sutherland has it. A professional pitcher, Max Scherzer, has this as well. And then a lot of some animals have it. So huskies, as far as dog breeds, huskies, Australian shepherds, and Shih Tzus are going to be the most common types of dog breeds. We have my wife's family has owned two different Australian shepherds that have had this trait, so it's must be rather common. Let's see here. In general, I thought this was rather interesting. Maybe you will too. But eye color in general is going to be controlled by pigments, as you might expect. It's going to be specifically a couple different kinds of melanin, and then but those two different kinds of melanin, it's not going to be enough to see just the concentrations, the ratios of one versus the other is not enough to explain the vast number of eye colors and eye types that we see out there. And so what that's more explained by is the ratios for one, so how much of the pigment and the ratios of the two different kinds of pigments, but also what layer of the retina they're in, and then also the way that light disperses and interacts with the retina, which is rather interesting. So darker eyes, obviously more pigment, but blue eyes are going to disperse the light. They're gonna have much less pigment, and they disperse the light in a way that's similar to why the sky is blue. So it's this Tyndall effect. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. So I thought that was just cool. I did not recall that from before, but so that's one reason why you get the bluish hue. And then a few different protagonists in the games had red eyes. So that doesn't always happen, but it can if you have uh, ocular albinism, or if you have albinism and you have no pigment or so low pigment that the red in certain light conditions, the red from blood vessels can even show through from the in the iris, and that can cause a red hue to eyes. So that can happen at times. So how does it happen? Most often it's just a harmless genetic variation. Congenital heterochromia is what that might be called. There are times that certain syndromes which might affect other organ systems can be involved. Probably not something too many people are interested in. You can have injury to the eye that could cause the color to change, or inflammation over time that could cause the color to change, or a tumor or a surgery. So there's different structural things that could happen to it too. Um, so yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, and I was shocked by the number of characters that have this trait. Um, I think looking back at the number of games we talked about, two of them have 107 people, and I was thinking about it. At some point, the developers are probably just trying to distinguish people, make them interesting looking, and so this was probably one tactic they used. But anyway, so if you develop this, if you were not born with this, two different color irises, if you develop this over time, again, we do not offer any medical advice, we do not diagnose, treat, whatever else. But if you find that that happens, that you have two different colored eyes, probably don't assume that, like Alear in Fire Emblem Engage, you are the personification of an ancient dragon who just woke up from 1,000-year slumber and then decide to go out and fight a similarly ancient evil dragon. Probably just get checked out by your doctor, see what's going on. So that's the tidbit.
You're such a nerd. I love it. I love you.
It was interesting. It was more to it than I thought there might be, and I was shocked. I had looked into it initially with Alear and Fire Emblem, and then I was honestly shocked that there were two other people that were the primary protagonists in games that we talked about today that also have heterochromia iridum. So
That's actually really cool, and that wasn't planned.
was not planned.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That's cool, Sam. Hey, what are you playing? You basically told us, but maybe there's more than
I
one.
will
What are
be
you playing?
done. Nah, basically there's just one. I will be done so soon with Fire Emblem Engage, and then you will not have to hear me talk about it any longer. What are you playing right now?
As I already told folks too, I'm playing the first Golden Sun on the Switch. Unfortunately, I let Final Fantasy 13 fall to the wayside. My excuse for that, though, well, I have two excuses. One is because I hear that it's finally going to get a remaster, so I feel like I'm just going to hold out for that. The other is I was playing it on the Steam Deck, and my husband is enjoying Diablo 4 on the Steam Deck right now.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about your Steam Deck adventures yet. We'll have to chat about that.
We'll have to talk about that at some point. So there you go. So for all of you out there, you can follow us on this little thing called Instagram. I don't know if you've heard of it before. You can find us. Our handle is turn-based besties at Instagram. You can also listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and currently Google Podcast, and probably a few places that we don't even know about yet. Go to our socials and let us know what you think. Let us know what games you're excited about playing in 2024. You can also email us at our own email, turnbasedbesties@gmail.com, and let us know if you've played any other games that we may have missed that has a character with heterochromia.
Very good. All right. So as we say, when everything in the world points right, maybe go left and see what you find. Until next time, everyone.
This has been Turn Based Besties. I'm DJ.
And I'm Sam.
Bye.
Bye.